93.7 Kiss Country. That's Springsteen, Eric Church. Today, a high of 100, and it is 9/11 today, and so it's, some of the people, the younger kids, don't even know what that's about, so we thought it was important to bring someone in.
Yeah, today's a day that's heavy on our hearts, and we all very prideful. We love our country, and we're going to talk to Andy Isolano next. He was a New York fireman.
He was there.
On 9/11, and he wants to tell his story, and he's got an amazing story, and you're going to want to hear it, too.
I can't believe it's 13 years ago.
I know. And now Andy works in Clovis at the Clovis Fire Department.
So Andy Isolano coming up next. In the studio, we are so lucky to have New York fireman Andy Isolano, who's now a Clovis fireman.
Yes.
So you were actually there at 9/11. It's a sobering thing, but yet it's an important thing. And tell us about your experience on 9/11.
Here we are 13 years later. I remember that morning like it was yesterday. It's not something that you forget. I mean, I remember very vivid details. I was in the shower in my firehouse. I was an 11-year veteran at the time, and I worked in 108 truck in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and getting ready to go home from a 24-hour shift, and in the shower, and the guys came up and said, "Andy, a plane just hit the towers." And I said, "Oh, man, that's pretty bad." And so the tones went off, and the day shift went in to, help with the firefight for the initial plane crash. So we go on the roof of the firehouse, and we can see from our roof that, there's a lot of fire there. They're going to be fighting that fire for days. And while we were up there, we watched the second plane come in.
Oh, my gosh. You watched it?
Yeah.
I watched it on the news, and that was bad enough.
Yeah, we were standing there and we're like, what is that? Is that what is, your mind plays tricks on you. I thought at first it was like a news helicopter. Why are they so close? Because we were about 2 miles away as the crow flies from the towers. And and I watched, and I remember seeing that gray plane and just take aim and, hit the building. And we knew at that point, this is not an accident. We're under attack. And so with that, we came downstairs again, and we started watching on TV and listening to the dispatch to see what's going on. And at that point, we got a phone call. A guy in my firehouse was the first guy killed. He got Danny Sir. He was hit by a jumper, which still amazes me. Yeah,
people were flying out of that building to get away from the fire.
Yeah. I mean, and he, to me, I can't imagine how bad conditions have to be to think a 100th floor jump is a better option. But, he apparently, jumped out and killed Danny instantly. And the good part to that is, and Danny was this type of fireman, he sacrificed his life, but the rest of those guys were left the scene with him. So the guys that went in on the, initial call, all were safe. They weren't there when the towers came down. So he basically saved their lives. And then the 12 of us that got off that morning, we jumped on a spare rig. We dumped our entire medical locker in the hose bed of the rig, and we started heading to the city. And we heard Mayday calls, Mayday, Mayday, Tower 2's coming down. And we just pictured the whole top of that building just fell off, and we pulled up. It's a place we'd been hundreds of times. We couldn't recognize it, the gray, dust,
smoke.
So was it
chaos.
Just like you were walking through a cloud?
Yeah, it was surreal. It was very Hollywood, things that we only witnessed on Hollywood at that point.
Yeah.
When we got off the rig, we started looking around, and they called Mayday again, and the second tower came down. Pretty much at that point, when the smoke finally cleared, the reality was I had lost 13 close friends. 343 fellow firefighters were gone. And as you know, close to 3,000 civilians. I still feel that some miracles happened that day. I feel like that the numbers that we lost, as staggering as they were not anywhere near what they could have been. I spent the next 2 months down there searching for my friends. It was a hard time, but 13 years later, I'm here in California working for a great department here in Clovis. At least I get to be in the uniform. People out here have made it amazing for me. Between David McDonald and Pelco and now Schneider Electric continuing the tradition, it's been amazing. And the people out here have been amazing.
Andy, can you stick around for a few more minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're talking to Andy Isolano. He was a firefighter in New York on 9/11. Watch the whole thing. Also, don't forget about the 9/11 memorial that's happening at Pelco at 8:45 today. We're going to talk to Andy a little bit about that next.
93.7 Kiss Country.
I just remember
getting a whole lot of phone calls from my family as I was active duty Navy out in Lemoore Naval Air Station. And I was on my way to work that morning, and the radio station just went nuts with the information concerning the Twin Towers and stuff. And there isn't a day go by that I don't think about those people lost.
93.7 Kiss Country. We will never forget.
93.7 Kiss Country. That's Kenny Chesney. It is 9/11, and we're going to continue our talk with Andy Isolano, who was actually a fireman from New York who experienced 9/11 firsthand.
He's got an amazing story, and he's going to continue that next. But first, a look at Kiss Country right now when you're in the club.
All right, so today is 9/11. In studio is Andy Isolano, New York fireman. Jody, Joe, where were you during 9/11?
You know, that day, I was sitting in this seat that I'm sitting in right now, and I remember my daughters were 1 and 2, and now they're 14 and 15. And I think about what they hear about 9/11 through me, through you, through everybody, through the news, what they see, what they hear at school. They witnessed it because I watched a lot of news coverage, but they never really felt the way we did when we were watching our country under attack that day.
It's our Pearl Harbor, really. It really is.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately for me, I've never been to New York. On my bucket list, but I've never been to New York. And so when we ran into the newsroom and we were watching the second tower go down, we saw it happen live, but not like you did. My first instinct was, oh, it's a movie. I've seen this in movies lots, there's lots of destruction. And then I started watching the interviews with all the people, all the families were looking for their other family members. And that's when it started getting real for me. And then I was like, one of my other first thoughts was, how am I going to tell my kids about this one day? How do I explain this to them?
It's
how
hard.
I'm feeling right now.
It's hard because, I've been all over the country speaking at schools about 9/11, and you don't realize that these kids are smarter than we think they are.
Mm-hmm.
They sat back, even the little ones, maybe not 1 and 2, but the 4 and 5-year-olds sat back and watched mom and dad maybe cry, or maybe, and all they heard was snippets of things. So I think it's important that these kids know exactly what happened that day, how many people lost their lives, why we believe it happened. We're still losing kids every day because of what happened that day. There's parents all over this valley that are worrying about their kids today because they're over there fighting that battle. And we need to tell our kids, we need to let them know the days of sheltering our kids from stuff like this it's not like it used to be. We need to let them know. And I speak to a quick story. I spoke at a kindergarten K through 3 group one time, and I'm thinking, man, I had never spoken to any kids that young before. And I'm thinking, all right, I got to change how I say it. They're going to ask me, do I drive a red fire truck? Can I see your helmet? That's what you think a 5 or 6-year-old is going to ask. The very first question was, why did people jump out the windows?
Oh my gosh.
These are kindergartners.
Wow. And I'm I didn't know what to say to them, but somehow I managed to explain it pretty honestly. You got to speak honestly to the kids, honestly and truthfully, and not as graphic as I might have to a high school group. But the teachers afterwards said, "Wow, that was amazing. These kids are going to remember that the rest of their lives." And and that's the thing. I want people to remember. My biggest message anytime I speak about what happened that day is life is precious. 343 firemen woke up that morning, kissed their family goodbye, and never came home. Life ends like that. Guys I ate dinner with were gone the next day. Anybody out there, you can get in your car today, and God forbid, your life could be over. So there's not too many things in life that are that important to get upset about, to hold grudges on, to go home. I challenge everybody in the listening area to call someone that they've been mad at for a long time.
Fix it.
And fix it, because life is too short.
You're going to be at Pelco today about 8:15, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, the event, they kick it off at exactly 8:45. We'll be out there. They do a nice service. It's only about 20 minutes long, and it's really nice. And it just, I encourage everybody to come out. It's open to the public, and bring your kids out there. It's really a good day to reflect, and like I said, just remember what happened, and remember that people gave their lives, and people are still giving their lives.
I got to say, I've met you after all this. That's how I met you, because you were talking about your story, and since then, I've seen you at a lot of events, from cancer to mustache events to firemen. and honestly, you really do have a different attitude on life. And I feel like, just not knowing you before, that you've dedicated your life now to good causes.
Absolutely. I mean, I was always kind of that way, but I could tell you from right after 9/11, because I had been through a couple other things. I got divorced right before 9/11, and then I lost the job I loved and losing all those friends. And I was in a bad way for a while. I wasn't this nice guy. And when I moved to California, when I found out that people in this world did care, because there was no one to cry to in New York, we were all going through it. Mm-hmm. It really changed me. It really impacted me. And I have done my best to deserve still being here. If you will, I fought that battle for a lot of
Survivor's guilt.
I guess, why am I here and the guy that was standing next to me not?
Right.
And how is that possible? I make it a point to live every day, and if I do something stupid, I try to rectify it, because I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. But like I said, if you're fighting with your family or mom is ticking you off or something, give her a call. Just say hi. It's too important, because when they're gone, they're gone.
Life is short.
Yeah.
It's unfathomable what happened.
Yeah.
And like you said, your friends are gone. And my heart breaks for their family and really for you guys that were there and knew them, and then they're gone.
Yeah. I mean, and then, for us, it didn't end when we left the pile. We had to go to funerals. I went to 159 funerals. And with the day I decided that was my last funeral, it killed me, because that 160th guy did not deserve anything any less than but I could not do it anymore. I couldn't physically, mentally just do it anymore. Too many kids crying, too many wives distraught. And I don't ever want to see that again. And I just...
That's crazy. I never would have thought about all the funerals you would have had
Think
to go
about
to.
that, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
What about bagpipes? Does it bother you? You hear a bagpipe, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, bagpipes brings me right back to that day, because, every funeral, every fireman's funeral has bagpipes. And, when they start Ave Maria or Danny Boy, or it gets right through me.
Andy Isolano, thank you so much.
We appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with us today again.
Thank you for giving me the time.
You are a motivation, to people out there. And people out there that are going through a rough time right now, you hear what he just said? Fix it.
93.7 Kiss Country. We will never forget.